All right, welcome back. More Dump and Change. We'll talk golf. U.S. Open on the Marion Golf Club in Pennsylvania. That course is tough. Very tough.
I would love to see just like a regular duffer like me go on there and just, and with all the fans there too, like I couldn't tee up. And
you would have to sharpen your pencil multiple times to write down.
You have to have a racer at the end of it. Yeah, it's horrible.
Well, like every time they would go to an aerial shot, I would just scratch my head and I'd be like, what? Yeah. What is this?
Yeah, where's the fairway?
Exactly. And there's one man who I guess you could say he got the better of the course. I don't know if that's a fair assessment to say, but Justin Rose crowned the U.S. Open champ with a 1-over. Just talk about his performance. Well-deserving win for him.
Oh, heck of a win. You know what? And yeah, he I don't know if he tamed the course that much, but he was able to get around the course a lot better than other golfers. But heck of a victory for him.
Yeah, pretty solid. I mean, obviously, everybody sort of had a bit of a rough start, but by the 12th and 13th hole, he was getting there.
Yeah, just going to bring that up. Just what part of the stretch of the part of his round did you think that he had it?
Probably coming down that home stretch. I think coming from that 13 all the way down to 18 that's when he kind of started pulling away. Guys that were trying to chase him, that's when they kind of saw them falter. He didn't. And I think more than anything, you just got to play in a level playing field when you're playing a course that tough. Just don't get into too much trouble if you have the lead, and that's what he did.
Yeah, on 13 he started sort of to pull away a little bit, and then his tee off on 17 and 18, I think kind of guaranteed him the win.
Yeah, I think maybe someone else kind of maybe helped him up with the win. Phil Mickelson, old lefty, finishing second for the 6th time at the U.S. Open. What's wrong with lefty? Why can't he ever close these out?
It's like the Buffalo Bills of the PGA lefty is, and I feel sorry for Phil because last week we were talking about the U.S. Open. He was one of the guys I was hoping to finally see win, and it looked like he was going to.
Especially after Thursday, round of 67.
Oh, he was phenomenal on Thursday, and even on Sunday, that front 9, he looked okay. He bounced back, but the wedge.
The eagle on 10.
The eagle on 10, but the wedge on 13 killed him. And when you can't hit the green on a wedge 130 yards away, I can almost do that. So it's it's
give
tough.
yourself too much credit now.
Maybe not quite, but I could get it within the distance. But tough for Phil. And he's a fan favorite, and you love to see him win. But you know what? That's probably his best chance of winning the U.S. Open. He may never get a chance like that again.
Yeah, plenty of respect for him. I think he's come in second like 6 times.
6 times
in the U.S. Open. That's got to be hard. If you're gonna lose, you almost want to lose by a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of just being able to taste that victory, and then right afterwards in the interview, he was just calm and collected, and as you said, probably his closest chance. So I mean, respect to him for keep coming out and keep giving it all, but just couldn't do it.
And speaking of losing by a lot, our good old friend Tiger Woods had a good Thursday, Friday, but once again the weekend burned him. That's kind of seems to be a story the last few years. Just the Saturdays and the Sundays, moving day, and then he's got the Sunday red. What's going on with Tiger with these weekends?
Well, it can all look like he had a bit of an injury. He was fighting through I believe an arm injury.
Kind of the elbow. Left elbow there,
So if you're golfing and your elbow's bothering you, it's going to change your swing.
And especially in that rough, because that stuff is thick.
Yeah, and I think that really put him off. Whether it was really in his arm or in his head, but golfing is so much of a physical and mental kind of game that if both ends is not working correctly, you're in a lot of trouble, and he was.
Yeah, he was talking about how grainy the course was. So I think when a guy pretty much starts off the interview by saying that, I think you knew that he was having some troubles, and I think people need to stop looking at Tiger to be finishing very well. Yeah. I think we just need to give him some time. He'll figure it out, but for right now, I don't think he's a winner.
Okay, well, he's been stuck on 14 major wins for 5 years now. Does Tiger ever claim another major? And if he does, when will we see that?
I think he will. I don't know when it's going to be, but every dog has his day, and I think Woods is kind of one of those golfers that on any weekend he can tear up the course, but any weekend he can also be what he just did this past weekend. So I think Woods, just a matter of time, and you'll see him win on majors again.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree. I think he will, but it really does depend on the course, and it depends on the day. He's got to be able to finish strong. I think that's what he needs to work on now. Is if he starts out kind of rocky, that's fine, but he's got to finish strong.
Okay, now I want to talk about this course before we move on. The Marion Golf Club. It's probably one of the toughest courses, excuse me, that I've ever seen. You have par threes over 230 yards. You have the one par three that's 100 yards on average. You have par fours that are 300 yards, and then you have a couple that are 500 yards. Is this one of the most daunting courses that you've ever seen?
Yeah, it probably would be. Even if you go overseas to St. Andrews and some of those courses that make up the British Open on any given year, you know, there you're kind of dealing with a lot more variables. You're dealing with the wind, you're dealing with the cold, where Marion, you did deal with a little bit of rain that caused a little bit of problems in the early going of that course, but it is one tough course. Like when you have a landing pad that's, you know, off your tee shot that's very, very narrow, and you not a lot of room for giving. I hate to be a regular golfer going on that one.
I like it. I know a lot of people had problems with the course, but I think it really does show how good a golfer you really are. Because I mean, you can be a pretty good golfer, and if you go on a nice kept course and everything, it's like you're gonna do all right. But it's when you have all of those different obstacles that it really just shows your extreme talent. Which I mean, I think that's what the U.S. Open is about, is it not?
Human.
Is like how good are you against these obstacles?
Because I know if I was on that course, believe me, by the time I hit 18, I won't have any clubs left in the bag.
No more balls.
There'll be no more balls. The clubs will be thrown into the tree somewhere. I'll be missing a bag, and I'll be a beaten man.
Yeah, no, you'd find me in like the 8th hole in the bushes somewhere. I tried to find my ball. I got stuck, and I starved.
Quickly, yes or no, would you like to see the U.S. Marion host the U.S. Open down the stretch?
Oh, sure. Why not? Why not? It's fun to see guys that are that good get challenged that much at a golf course.
How far down the stretch are we talking?
2, 3, 4 years? 5 years?
Maybe. I think they gotta look for other places. You know what I mean? Because that's half of it, right?
Yeah.
Is bringing these people and bringing attention to these new and exciting courses. I think maybe 10 years.
Okay.
Maybe 10
We'll
years.
take 10
Absolutely, could come back.
All right, perfect. Thanks a lot, guys. We're going to take another commercial break. We got over-under coming up.